Okay, welcome back to another Warhammer the Old World Battle Report. Today we have round one of the square-based online tournament 2. You have me with my normal list that I've been playing, and I'm up against Daps's High Elves as well. He's got an Archmage on a Star Dragon, Illusion, Lore Familiar, Talisman of Protection, Seed of Rebirth, so 5 up ward, 5 up regen, and then the Fauxbane sword, which means that the Archmage always wounds on a 4 plus, but no armor penetration. Then Handmaiden, who's his general with the Horn of Isha, and then a Noble Battle Standard Bearer on a Griffin with a Battle Banner, so D3 combat res. The Dragon Helm, Charm Shield, Seed of Rebirth. Then he's got one unit of Silver Helms that had a War Banner, 19 Sisters of Avalon, and the High Sister has the Wizarding Hat. Then 2 Frostbite Phoenixes and a Skycutter. So, going into this match, I tried to come up with a plan, which I thought that I can win the shooting battle with I have the same number of sisters, but I also have archers, and I have a battle archmage and a fireball, so from the ruby ring. So I thought 2 fireballs would give me the edge going into his sisters. And then I thought if I can outshoot him, then I can sort of play defensively, shoot those off, and after they've been worn down, then I can pick off his supporting units like the Silver Helms, the Skycutter, and as he's trying to push into me with his flying monsters, I can use my 2 flying monsters as well to and my big unit Silver Helms to get charges, to slow him down and keep my sister's bunker safe. I also thought because my prince can go one-on-one against anything in his army, that I sort of wanted the prince in combat for the whole game, and then using my other small units, because I have more chaff than him, so the Silver Helms and the Skycutters, to pick off his chaff units, and then I can use them to either threaten his sisters or get flank charges. So the problem with that plan is that I can't have the right, if the prince is trying to get into combat every turn, he's not going to be protecting the sisters, and he's going to be off being aggressive on his own, and that's not so the 2 parts of the plan are conflicting with each other. Am I hanging back and shooting and trying to win the shooting war and playing defensively, or am I sending the dragon in to be aggressive? And being in 2 minds about that, you'll see in deployment and everything is sort of, it's not a great plan. It needed more work. So rolling for spells, I didn't get Oaken Shield for my sisters, and then I swapped into Val's Making, which again doesn't really make sense to use it. I thought it'd be good to take the talisman off his dragon, or take the battle banner off the noble, but that means that the sisters have to be within 12 inches of those big monsters, which means they're in danger, not where I want them. So not the best option. He took battle on his on the Wizarding Hat and rolled fireball, so at that point the shooting battle is now closer if he has a fireball and I trying to roll 2 fireballs. And he took Illusion, and then he swapped to Courage of Anarian, which you can make a unit unbreakable, and so he makes his dragon unbreakable for most of the game, which is what I should have chosen. If I want my dragon to go off and try and solo his army, making it unbreakable is a huge bonus, because I'm fine if we're grinding out a combat, I'm going to win that, but what I don't want to do is lose a combat, be double outnumbered, and flee. So it would have been a great chance to choose Courage of Anarian, but I did not. And so deployment, he put his big sister's unit in the middle, his dragon, his griffin, 2 phoenixes, and then Skycutter and Silver Helms. And you can see I've sort of deployed so that I can shoot into his sister's unit, but I haven't really committed to it. Like these archer units aren't going to have range. And then I have my 2 flying monsters in the middle to threaten anything that comes in, and then Skycutters on the flanks to hopefully get flanks. So turn 1, he got first turn because he had to finish deploying first. He just sort of moved the Phoenixes forward, staying out of charge range, pretty much with everything except that he had switched that the Phoenixes are fly 9 and the Skycutters are fly 10. So, and he thought it was the reverse. So he did put these Silver Helms are just in range of my Skycutter. And so what happens? His sisters shoot into the Silver Helms and kill 4 of them. And then he puts out a column of crystal, sort of blocking the line of sight from my sisters to his. Then my turn. I declare a charge, and he flees and gets away. I dispel the column of crystal, but I forget that he has Courage of Venarian, and I don't try and dispel it, even though my mage is in dispel range. I cast Curse of Rare Retraction on his Griffin, and then I flew my dragon over here, and the plan was to get a hopefully get an Arcane Urgency off. This is my mage back here, and then flip the dragon in sort of behind his lines to start threatening multiple charge angles. But I failed to cast it. Or I think maybe he cast it but low, and then he faded it. So that was unfortunate. I shuffled the sisters over to get to the High Sister and the Mage to have line of sight to the Chariot to fireball, and then most of the sisters have line of sight to the Griffin, shoot it, and only do 1 wound, and I do no wounds from my 2 fireballs. This Skycutter comes out of the Phoenix's charge arc, but also still has a charge arc in front of the building if he moves up, and I can see the sisters, although I'm actually quite a long ways away from them. I think in terms of trying to angle it and see, I didn't move as close as I potentially could have. Anyways, yeah, and then I throw out a Pillar of Fire. I could have, so in doing this, I think I was 16 inches from the Skycutter. I was hoping the 2 fireballs would kill it, and the archer unit. That was an unnecessary risk. I could have just been further back. I didn't need to be so close. I put out the Pillar of Fire. I could have put it sort of back here to protect. So if he charges me, he has to go here, and then that would have made it a dangerous. He would have been going into the terrain, which would have made it dangerous, so he would have been taking the lower dice, which probably would have been helpful. But instead I put it over here, because I think, there's a chance the pillar can just kill him and bounce through his army. But what happens is... so the pillar, I think, did a wound or 2, then got dispelled. The Silver Helms rally and move up. The Griffin flies and moves up, and then his dragon flies over and blocks sort of any line of sight from my dragon to his sisters, and then he puts a column of crystal up. The Skycutter makes the charge, forces me to use Stubborn, falls back. I did end up doing 3 wounds, so it's only left on 1 wound. And the Skycutter would have been great to have managed to kill it after that blunder, but he does 2 wounds to my Archmage, so he's just alive. And then he blows the Horn of Isha, puts all his shots into my Griffin Noble, and takes him down to 1 wound. And then the 2 Frostheart Phoenixes move up. My turn. I declare multiple charges into the phoenixes. So my big unit goes into this phoenix, and then the sky cutter goes into the flank, and the silver helm unit in the front. He thought about fleeing with them, but I think it was a good choice to stay, because fleeing with this phoenix probably would have put it here, still pretty close to my Skycutter chariot, and if I was able to make that charge overrun it, I'm then in a great spot. If my chariot's sort of back here and gets to reform, potentially charge his sisters in the flank. These sisters are actually deployed in skirmish formation, but just close together. Over here, my dragon charges his dragon. I thought it was, again, still learning the rules. I thought because the majority of my model was in his flank arc, there would be a flank charge, but actually it's on if a model is in the front arc, then you have to make a front charge, which I think could lead to some really janky things. But in this instance, it's just a frontal charge. It's not a big deal. I go in, I think I did 4 wounds and took 1 back, but he's unbreakable and he can't back up because he's touching the sisters, so the 2 dragons are just stuck there. Over here, I failed to do a wound to the sky cutter. Fall back in good order again, and he chooses to restrain. I back off with the griffin, sort of set up so if he does follow in, I can go in next turn and save those sisters. And the sky cutter moves to just be able to see some flank charges. I mean, we'll get to it, but this is a mistake. I didn't really have any other option, but this was not a good one. Because unless I kill this dragon fully outright, which is extremely unlikely, I'm now stuck here with multiple flank charges coming in. So his turn 3, and what happens? Oh, going back, didn't talk about this combat. So the chariot comes in the side, does great impact hits. Everyone strikes last, but because the silver helms, that sets their initiative to 1. But then because they charge 3 and they have elven reflexes, they go at initiative 4 anyways. So what they end up doing is killing the phoenix. The chariot overruns into the flank of this phoenix and gets to fight again, but not nearly as good a fight. I do a single wound to the phoenix, and the phoenix does 3 wounds back to the sky cutter. But because of my war banner and flank, I still make him, he loses combat and gives ground. And the silver helms follow up, chariot doesn't. It's weird because of this building. It was blocking things up. All my shooting, I don't know, I didn't have a lot of shooting. Where did it go? I think I maybe shot into the Griffin Noble again, which was a mistake. I should have tried to finish off the silver helm unit, as you'll see would have been super useful if I had a magic. I think I actually did shoot in the silver helm, and I killed I killed 2 of the silver helms. If I had managed to kill 1 or 2 more, it would have been very nice. Yes, so then turn 3, the Griffin BSB and the silver helms come into the flank of my dragon. He challenges with his dragon. I think I do a couple wounds that he regens. I don't really take any wounds, but he rolls a 3 for the Battle Standard Bearer. He's got 3 close orders, a flank. It just goes poorly, and then I roll. He has a banner and a war banner on the silver helm unit, and he doubles outnumber me, and I fail my break check and get ran down by the Griffin. So that's a big blunder, huge loss. The sisters move over, take 2 wounds off the sky cutter with their shooting. This Frostart Phoenix kills some of the silver helms, then breaks them, runs them down. These silver helms had failed to restrain in my turn, so they had to overrun and got stuck there. His sky cutter declared a charge onto my BSB to try and get that last wound off of him, but I had moved him just back behind the woods, so we had to take a dangerous terrain chest, and he rolled the 1, and the chariot died. So that was lucky, I think, because it would have been my 4 always strike first, or 3 always strike first noble attacks against his impact hits to try and kill him. They would have been going simultaneously at initiative 10. Which I don't know, his impact hits would probably have a better chance of that happening, but it did mean that my sister's unit was freed up and still alive, so that's good. So my turn. What happened? Both Skycutters double charged the dragon in both flanks. I figure, there's a chance that they roll high. He's not the most defensive, but they don't. They only manage to do a single wound, and then the mage kills one and the dragon kills the other. That was a gamble, but it felt like it was my one chance to try and salvage the game. Put some shots into get Curse of Arrow Traction off on the Griffin Noble. Put some shots into it. Don't do any wounds. It's a terrible target. It has a 2-up save because of the Dragon Helm. These sisters got Curse of Arrow, got Arcane Urgency forward, so they're out of the charge arc of the Griffin. And when I initially measured it, there was a spot. They went on the exactly right angle. There was a spot for them to get in here where they would be out of the charge arc of the Griffin and the Frostheart. But I just messed up my angle a bit, and they got stuck within charge arc of the Griffin. What happened? Oh, this Skycutter actually declared to charge on these Silverhelms that were here, and they chose to flee again. Which I think we forgot to take the panic test for that. But anyways, his battle standard bears right there. So that was that. That's basically the game was over at that point after my dragon died. He charges in, kills that sister's unit, moves these sisters up. They shoot off the last couple of my units. These Silverhelms run away. I try and move. Okay, so the Phoenix had just come into the terrain after overrunning, I think. So I decided, again, I could have flown away and preserved points, but I thought there was a chance to kill the Phoenix, which only had 1 wound left. So I figured if I could kill it, overrun, I could get out of the charge arc of the dragon, and then I'm probably going to die to the sisters, but there's a chance, just to get some points back. But I went in. It did only take a wound. I did 3 wounds, left 11-1. I think the Griffin did all of them, and the Noble did 0. But I don't take any wounds back. But he just gives ground, and I'm stuck there in front of the dragon and the battle standard bearer. So my Griffin dies, and I'm left with 1 archer left, another large unit, and the Silverhelms. And basically, he shoots off. I think he shoots off this archer unit. The dragon charges him, kills him, and I hide the other 2 units. So ends up being a crushing win. I think 18-2 is what it was calculated as for DAPS. I felt like, I was disappointed that my plan was not a good plan, and then they didn't really. My main plan was to try and just hang back and shoot, and then in turn 1 I threw my dragon forward, and in turn 2 I committed it deep into his lines, and that wasn't the plan. Smaller things like taking Courage of an Aryan or forgetting to dispel it, I mean, those are smaller things, but this move and the setup before it It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know why I set that up, why I decided to do that. And putting my sisters in danger of the chariot, when that was one of my identified paths to victory, was not doing that. So yeah, it was a good learning game. Daps played really well, and yeah, hopefully he goes on, does well for the High Elves and the rest of the tournament. And I'll see how game number 2 goes. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you next time.